Hey guys, in this video we're going to be talking about reflecting, and this is reflecting over the x and the y axis. So 2 points are reflections of each other if the x or the y axis forms a line of symmetry. Remember, a line of symmetry is going down and folded on either side. The arrow means to reflect. A with the little apostrophe means A prime, which is like the second. So you have your original point and then you have your reflected point. Then a double prime means it's reflected twice. So here we are going to reflect across the x-axis. So I'm going to highlight the x-axis to help me. And if I'm looking at A, that's going to be -4, -3, because remember you do the x and then the y. And if I reflect over the x, so right, I'm down here in quadrant 3, and reflect up to quadrant 2, and that is going to be A prime, and that is -4, +3. For B, it is 2, 3, reflect down to quadrant 4, so it's going to be 2, -3. It's going to be right down here. That's going to be B prime. C is going to reflect down here, so C prime. So C is -2, 1. C prime is going to be -2, -1. D is going to reflect up, and that's going to be D prime. And that is going to, or D is 3, -2, and D prime is going to be 3, 2. So now let's reflect over the y-axis. Okay, so A is 3, 2. A prime is going to reflect over the y, so it's going to end up over here. So that's A prime at -3, 2. And then B is going to be 3, -3. And then it's going to reflect over and be over here. And that is -3, -3. C is on that y-axis at 0, 2. Since it's on the y-axis, it's going to stick with 0, 2 because it can't reflect. If I did over the x, then it would. D is -2, -1. It's going to reflect up here, so that's D prime. And that is going to be -2, 1. Oh, nope, we're going over the y. That's over the x. So we're going to end up over here at D prime. So it is at 2, -1. E is at -3, 1, reflect over, and that is going to be 3, 1. So let's look at some rules. When you reflect over the x-axis, the y value is opposite. And remember, opposite, it's going from the positive to the negative or the negative to the positive. It's not absolute value. When you reflect over the y-axis, the x value becomes opposite. So here we go. So we have -319 across the x. So the x value stays the same and the y value becomes opposite. Make sure you have your parentheses around those ordered pairs. -12, -34 across the y. So my x value is going to become opposite of 12. And then -34 stays the same. Go ahead and try these 3 and then come back and check them. So for this first one, the y-axis, so the x value is going to become opposite. And then the 23 is going to stay the same. So it's going to be -43, 23. Then if you reflect across the x value is going to stay the same at -12. The y value is going to become opposite at 2. Across the x, -5 stays the same, and then -7 is the opposite. So here if we reflect twice, so let's say we start here at A. If I reflect over the x, that's A prime. Then if I reflect over the y, that's A double prime. What is going to happen? It's the opposite of both. When you reflect over the x and the y, both values become opposite. So here, across the x and the y, it is going to be 5, negative 7. The opposite of negative 5 is 5. Opposite of 7 is negative 7. Same here. It's going to be negative 12, negative 45. Opposite of both crosses the x and the y. So it crosses the x and the y. Negative 34 becomes 34. Negative 89 becomes 89. X and the y. Negative 13 becomes 13. And negative 17 becomes 17. Okay, make sure you do some of the practice if you're still having trouble, and thanks.